What's up, your boy B Rob? I had a conversation that'll be a future podcast with Lou from the Everything Podcast. I don't do video a lot, especially here in the YouTube form and whatnot. It's not really my bag. Plus, I do everything on my phone here, so it's kind of hard to capture all that video and import it to my phone and do. Anyway, I'm saying a lot of things, but the first couple of minutes of this video didn't get recorded properly because I didn't turn my camera on. So, oops on me. So, before you get into the video proper, like, just bear with me and to kind of get you through that period to where there's no video and all you have is audio. Enjoy some pictures that my daughter drew for me.
What up, everybody? This your boy B Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Rounds with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week, or however you listen to podcasts. If you're a first-time listener, I appreciate you so much for giving my show a try. And if anybody recommended you to me, go ahead and give that person a crisp high five. That's only if you're in their general vicinity. But if you're nowhere around this person, go ahead and take your social media app of choice and craft this person a well thought out DM, not one of them slick and sly ones to where you're trying to, because Valentine's Day is tomorrow as we record this. I hate putting timestamps on things, but there's all kind of filth flying around in these DMs right now. So you just gotta be careful how you do that, because people might get the wrong ideas. But then again, it's 2020. Some people might like those ideas that you have. Anyway, speaking of social media, you can find the show on a variety of platforms, to include Twitter at 3R Show, Instagram at The 3R Show, Facebook. You can do facebook.com/3R Show, or just search the Random Rounds with Rob. YouTube, just look for 3R Show. And for anything that I may have missed, you can go to randomrob.com. So now joining me on this edition of the Random Rounds with Rob is a man. He's a manly man. He's a man sitting there looking like the manliest man I ever seen, with that nice red random hat on, which I appreciate oh so much. He's a supporter of the show, as you can tell by this big ass red random hat that he's wearing on his head, which I will eternally appreciate until I'm well gone out of this podcasting game and maybe beyond this life of mine. But hey, man, it's real, man. We got to put it in context, because we are mortal beings, and we're not designed to do anything forever, really. So right. One day I'm gonna hang these headphones up, man, and move on to something else, or it might be my time to go. But those memories that I hold near and dear to my heart are from people like you who support the show, and everybody that I've ever interacted and met through podcasting. So to you, sir, I thank you, and to introduce you as L0u from the Bronx, host of the Everything Podcast. How are you?
Well, sir, thank you very much for having me on your program. I appreciate it, being in the midst of a fellow podcaster, a professional podcaster like yourself.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm far from professional, but I'm in the arena, I guess. I'm peeping through the window.
And you professional podcaster to me, goddamn merch king.
Oh man, I wish people bought it though.
I'll tell you one thing.
I'm talking about more people.
No, I'll tell you one thing. Seriously, people, look at the detail of this thing. It's amazing. This doesn't even do it justice. It's like all puffed out. You got the little signature on the side.
Yeah.
This hat, I love this hat. I really do.
I don't even write like that. I just put it on there.
Fantastic. It's fantastic. I got some stuff that I've gotten, but it's all third party, so it's kind of hard to have control of your actual product. I don't press it myself, but when I saw this, I was like, damn, I gotta step it up.
Shit, man. Truth be told, that's third party as well. But that's the dream, though, man. Just to kind of make enough, or generate enough to where I can cut out the third party, the middleman, so to speak, and do the shit myself. Because those random shirts, like the font that you have on your hat there, just the plain Jane ones, I'm gonna start doing those myself.
Nice.
Because those are third party too. And I got the equipment and the know how to do it now. So I'm gonna start producing those myself. I mean, whenever you go to the merch store, once I get it set up properly, there's gonna be images with like a little red tag in the corner of them. All the ones with the red tag on them, I made with my hands. These two paws right here.
Nice. Yeah.
Just know all 100% of that profit would go straight to me.
That's that part. That's exactly what you want to
Yeah.
have done. Like and this is like a little inside baseball for people listening to this. Are probably like, the
Yeah.
fuck, what do you talk about merch for? But it becomes a part of your becomes a part of your whole thing, because you start with a show, or you start with a social media, a following or something, and you want to build on it. So you create a Patreon, or you start getting ideas of things you want to do, and it kind of always starts with like stickers or buttons or stuff like that, and then you want to get a shirt where you can just go out somewhere and have your logo on it. And some of these third-party companies now, they make it very easy for you to do that, but you lose out on profit. For instance, like I have a TeePublic store, and honestly, I'm not doing it for the income. I'm doing it for like the fact that I can have shirts out, and if somebody wants to buy one, they can have it. You know what I mean? So for now, it's not really about profit, but the profit is very, very small.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's 100. Like I'm saying, I'm trying to do it myself to make it 100% of the profit, but at the same time, it's 100% of the headache. Because I mean, with the
right.
third party, they do everything. I just slap the design on the product that they have, and they take my design that I made, and they put it on their thing, and they ship it, and they box it, and they do all that shit.
That's right. That's the good part about it.
Yeah, that's the great part about it. But like you said, and I think we discussed on the last episode, that's a slim ass margin, man. Like I know people who use TeePublic and a couple of other different places. For every shirt they sell, they're getting like maybe like on the low end $2, and then put them shits on sale. Those profits even shrink smaller. So
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've noticed I used TeePublic, and I've used Teespring. Not that I'm trying to promote them or anything, but Teespring actually gives you a little more.
Yeah.
I've noticed, but it's a very, their website is very like low frills. It almost looks like one of those pages like you click on and you're like, oh shit, should I buy something from this page? Because this looks a little
janky.
Yeah, but they do give you a little more. But at the end of the day, man, for me, it's about just trying to have cool looking shit out there that I can like put on, or if I do have a Patreon that I've created, but it's not launched yet, because I'm still kind of like, it's been like an ongoing thing where I'm trying to like get it where I want it, so it has value.
Yeah.
And just to have stuff that what I'm basically doing is buying my own merch so that I could give it away, which don't make no fucking sense, but it's about the love, man. Anybody who supports my show or listens to it, man, I try to like just show them mad love, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I mean, and you talk about, more so having your own thing, because basically when you have somebody that's creative and, they into that stuff, they just want the shit for themselves. If other people happen to like it, I mean, that's the cool part. But I mean, I make all these shirts and designs for me because that's shit I want to wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I ain't really going nowhere to like a function, or like any of the podcast events and conventions wearing freaking, I don't know, what's a brand somebody wear, Jordache, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my shit, and
Exactly.
to get it out there in the world, like you're saying, is another form of advertising for the show.
Exactly.
Somebody see it and be like, that's cool, what's that? Oh, it's from this and this, and then word of mouth, and Shazam, there it is.
Yeah, that's what I did when I went to J1 Con, not last year, the year before. I know you went to that this year for the Black Finishing Gauntlet, and I wore my podcast shirt because I felt like I kind of felt like a shill. It's like I called myself, because no one else had any of their other merch on. I was the only one there wearing a goddamn Everything Podcast shirt, walking around with my shit. But I was like, hey man, where else am I supposed to wear this?
Exactly. And what I'm trying to do going forward, or whatever, the designs that I make, I'm trying to make it universal, to where like the random hat that you have on there, I believe somebody can look at that, not even knowing what the podcast is, and say that shit is cool. And
Yeah.
I would like to have something like that. So that's kind of, going forward when I come up with some more designs, that's more of the focus to try to make it universal to anybody. They see it, they like it, and they want to wear it, even if they ain't necessarily trying to represent the show, but
Yeah.
they like the design.
And that's all it is trying to lead people into that conversation. Like, yo, where'd you get that? It's like, oh, well, let me tell you a little something about random ramblings.
Jay,
You can
story
get or you can get your own. It's cool shit like that, you know.
Yeah, because I felt weird about it or whatever, and I imagine a lot of podcasters go through something like that because like we sit here, we do these conversations, we talk with ourselves, we talk with other people, and we talk to it's strangers essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But you go out in the street and I'm wearing my random shirt or whatever, and a dude was like, "Oh man, that's a cool shirt. Where'd you get that from?" And I felt weird as fuck. Like, yeah, you just go to this website. Yeah, I mean, not really telling them that it's mine, but like, yeah, you go to this place here,
I
get it
made
there.
this in my basement.
So I mean, it is. I mean, it's kind of. I feel awkward sometimes, but I'm slowly getting over it. I mean, 4 years in, you think I'd be all up in everybody's face throwing business cards at them and shit, like pick it up, bitch, listen to my shit. But
flinging them ninja stars.
Yeah, it's not like that at all.
Yeah,
but
podcasting is a weird game, man. I started mine in 2016, and just out of wanting to start one, just because like I always had an interest in radio, and I kind of lost. I was kind of disheartened in the fact that Clear Channel came and bought up. It's a whole long thing, but I'm kind of getting sidetracked here. I tend to do that. I get sidetracked, but I started the show and I had all these ideas of what I wanted to do, and then it's almost like the longer you go, for me, at least for me, it got a little more difficult, especially with like life shit coming at you and everything.
Yeah.
So right now the show's in a little bit of a state where I was doing weekly episodes like no problem, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. Podcasting, that's what I was trying to get to. Podcasting is such a weird game because especially when you do it by yourself, because a lot of people don't understand the fucking work it takes to do these things and do them well. Because some people just get on and they just go bah, 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 and then they send, and it sounds like shit. It doesn't sound well. There's no audio recordings, and some people can get away with that because they have the personality to pull it off. But when you want to like edit your audio, add music cuts, add drops, then you got to design a logo. You got to design the picture that you're going to use to promote the episode, write the episode, edit the episode. It gets to be a daunting task, especially when you're kind of putting more and more time into it and it's costing you money.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I mean, here you say you started in 2016 and here we are 2020. And as of current, you're on episode 66.
Right.
So, I mean, we are doing this shit for free, pretty much. When you start a podcast, being a non-celebrity and whatnot, I mean, you already start off in the negative, because you come out of your pocket to get the computer. If you don't already have one, you get the microphones, you get the fucking cameras, the lights, the mixer, and all this other bullshit. And you already start off in the negative. And the goal is one day to pay off this loan, I guess.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know. I believe that's kind of why, some people kind of get frustrated with it and whatnot. It's like, I want to do this thing, but like I'm spending all this money and ain't shit happening or whatever. And I kind of feel like if you go in with the mindset of like, I'm going to do this shit for money, I mean,
it's not going to work.
Yeah, you kind of setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, it's not going to work, dude. I've had, when I started in 2016, I made an Instagram. I did the little things. Like I made a Twitter account, I made an Instagram. And I started meeting people. I met you through there. I met our mutual friend Dan Dinkins through there. But I met many a podcaster through the Instagram, and then we tried to make a network. And bro, I've had so many friends in podcasting just fall off and disappear and delete their Instagrams and their Twitters and their feeds. And it's like, yo, what happened, bro?
Yeah.
Like, where'd you go? Their show was so good. And then just they're gone, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like you said, I have I'm up to 66 episodes. I have officially the Everything podcast is on episode 66, but I have like over 150 podcasts out because sometimes I'll do like a movie review or I'll do, I did Discipline December challenge where I was doing a podcast a day. So I didn't want to like cheat and inflate my number by calling it the Everything podcast episode,
Yeah, yeah.
22, 23, 24. So I just threw it out there without a name. But yeah, it's those numbers don't add up when you go from 2016 to now, and it's only like 66 episodes. But that's what I'm saying. It became, I've gone through a lot of personal things where
Yeah.
um, and I explained it all on my show.
Yes.
Divorce and separation and moving out and all this shit kind of all affected the uh, production of the show.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get back into it now, but I'm still having some kind of blockage where uh, sometimes it gets weird, man. Like sometimes I feel like I don't want to talk about what everyone else is talking about.
Yeah.
And I listen to a lot of podcasts, so when I listen to them, I don't want to like then record an episode after I listen to a few, because then like I might copy what someone else said. I get in my own head too much about it, so sometimes I'll just not listen to anything and then record my show and then catch up on my shows. But
Yeah.
it's a tough balance.
I get exactly what you're saying because I love professional wrestling and I listen to quite a few wrestling podcasts. And when because I have one myself that I do with, a couple of my friends and everything. But what I hate is that I don't do it consistently like I do this show. So whenever we do get around to talking about, something that's going on in wrestling that interests us, it done already happened and people done already covered it and everything. So my goal is to whenever we get on the show and to talk about wrestling, I'm just kind of like derailing the conversation. I'm just talking about other shit. So they'll bring, because I'm just like, I'm there. Because basically, like how I see the wrestling podcast is like, I get texts from my friends about wrestling. And I was just like, man, why are we not talking about this? Why are we not recording this? So when I get the text talking about, hey, man, you want to talk about this, this, and this? I'm like, come on, man, let's do it. Put the recorder on. And then while they talking about this thing that interests them, I'm just kind of like derailing the conversation, talking about other crazy shit and whatnot. Still kind of trying to stay in the realm of the subject that they brought up. So
Right.
I feel it's kind of different in that aspect and whatnot. Because I go on, how many times we're going to talk about the same match? And I kind of feel like you can only have one or two opinions of the thing. Either you're going to like it or you're going to dislike it. There's like no other option for that.
Yeah, unless you start getting super technical. Like, do you see there where he suplexed him and then took him into a German bridge? What he should have done was kind of done a leg sweep. Like, and you're going to break it down like Joe Rogan and shit.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can talk about it as far as technicality or your opinion of the match, if it's good or not.
Mm-hmm. So I just like to get in there and start talking about the female wrestlers and their booty meat. So
some of them are bootylicious, man.
Oh yeah, especially.
I think we had a conversation about this on Twitter not too long ago about Bailey, man. Bailey's super underrated, bro.
Yeah. Latina there. She got I call it the Bailey bubble. She got the Bailey bubble.
Sure.
Got two.
Definitely. I gotta get on your Wrestling is Trash podcast, and then I could do some derailing my damn self.
Oh yeah, man. That's what it's all about. Is to talk about wrestling, but to kind of like, I don't know. It's just we bullshitting pretty much,
Yeah, because you know what? Especially wrestling, like that's another thing. I started a wrestling podcast, I think like 2 years ago, and I have exactly one episode. One episode in the book because it was funny. I said, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cover Raw, I'm gonna cover SmackDown, and I'm gonna cover at the time they had Impact and NXT. So then I thought about it and I was like, God damn, that's at least 6 or 7 hours of TV that I gotta watch a week.
Yeah.
And then I gotta take all those hours and kind of go over it all and make it witty and make it funny. And I have to do it within a certain time frame because I can't spend 3 hours making fucking one podcast. I'm not Joe Rogan, bro. I don't do this shit. I don't get paid. I can't do 3 of them a day and, you know what I'm saying, and call it a wrap. So
exactly.
I have one episode in, and then once I did that one episode, bro, I had 18 pages of notes for that one episode.
See,
and I was like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that again, bro. No way.
see,
So,
and that's another thing, man. I hate taking notes. So for me to sit there and, like you said, to go through all those hours of entertainment and try to, capture all that in your brain or in notes and whatnot, nah, it's too much for me. Because if you watch WWE, I mean, you can kind of say there's somewhat of formula. There's nothing really surprising or random that happens on that show so much. So whenever my homeboy Nick or whatever called me up and be like, hey man, did you see Raw? You want to talk about it? I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. And he fill me in on the deets, and I can just kind of piece it all together and still be in sync like I watched the damn show and shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck that couch. Wrestling is trash. But what I am enjoying is like the things that aren't really in everybody's conversation so much. Whenever you talk wrestling, it seems like everybody on the internet is talking about something super indie that nobody knows about per se, or WWE. It's either one of the two. But I like to talk about those other things. Like I'm seeing a lot of new wrestlers now because of, we in the same age bracket. You a little bit older than I am, which surprised the fuck out of me. But damn, we, like how you saying on your episode, we grew with the technology because we started out, we didn't have the shit, and then we seen the first stages of the shit. And now we watch it evolve into what we have now and everything. So like, to me, tripping over a goddamn VHS tape, finding what wrestling is, to now I can sneeze Hachu on Twitter and it's all over the goddamn place. You know?
It's very strange, man. The times that, especially us, where we've exactly what you just said. We lived in the days where you could just go outside on your bike and you didn't have a phone and you didn't have anything. And your mom was like, all right, be back before the sun goes down. You go out and do your thing and come home, engage with your friends, maybe play some Nintendo, where now it's like, here. I know that's bad audio, but on video, you'll see what I just did. You're on your phone all day. Everything is on your phone. All the news is instantly coming through. I go to Twitter for news. I don't go to CNN for news. What am I going to CNN for? It's to the point where, and us being in this age, it's funny that we went from one to the other and we're able to adapt to it. That we got kids now growing up just straight up on the technology, which is, we'll see where that leads us, but it could be good, it could be bad, but I like what we went through where we didn't have it and now we do have it, and it's like part of our life,
Yeah, because I mean, if worse come to worse, I know we can survive better without it than some other people.
I'll say yeah, but that's because it hasn't happened. But let the damn satellites go down.
Oh, I'm a cry.
My phone don't work and my Wi-Fi don't work and I can't get online and play fucking Destiny competitive. What am I gonna do with my life?
Yeah, well, you speak about that playing Destiny and whatnot. Do you do any streaming and anything like that, or are you just competitive online?
I do, but I don't do it like professionally or anything, obviously. But I do stream. I do have a Twitch channel. It's L0u from the BX. Of course, the zero is the O is a zero in L0u. Again, I'm a shill. But my thing is, I've noticed that when I do stream, I play like complete shit. Garbage. I can't get a kill. I can't do shit. I can't do what I need to do. But then when I turn that stream off, I'll get like 25, 26 kills in competitive, and it's like nothing. And it just drives me crazy. I don't understand what the mental blockages that I have there with that. But every time it happens.
Well, shit, man. I've just recently started. I mean, I still don't understand the appeal of people watching other people play video games. I want to play the video games, but at the same time, I know it's not really for me to understand. I mean, if you like something, you like something. I mean, it's not for me to say the shit that you like is trash, but I'm trying to reach everybody. I want to have something for everybody, and especially, whenever you do podcasting or you've been doing it for a while, you eventually, branch out into other mediums and everything, to which, while we're doing video here today, to where 3 years ago into this podcast, I wouldn't even ever thought of trying to do this shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an audience out there that likes to see who the fuck is talking and shit or whatnot. Because I find it weird that when I first started listening to podcasts, you know, I started to listen to first certain ones over years. I never thought to look these people that I was listening to up to see what their face looked like. I just know their voice all the damn time, you know. Because, like, I knew who Kevin Smith was, and, you know, I can place his face. But, like, when I was listening to his podcast in the early iterations or whatever, I didn't know that was a Silent Bob from Clerks.
Right.
So
I had that situation just happen with, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with Wrestling Observer Radio.
Yeah.
You know, Brian Alvarez, right? So I would listen to those clips on YouTube because I have YouTube Red, and I like YouTube Red a lot. Because I work overnight, so for the most part, I'm driving around on a forklift, and I just play audio, long form audio, and just let it play, so I don't have to keep messing with my phone. So I would listen to, you know, a bunch of the clips on YouTube, and then for some reason one day one of the clips that played was video, and when I saw him, I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's what that guy looks like. Like, it was so weird. Like, I never even thought of like going and looking to see what this dude looks like, but then when I saw him, I was like, what the fuck? He looks like a weird X-Pac kind of, like, it was just a strange thing for me.
Yeah, I don't know. This shit does get crazy, cause and that's another thing. You talk about YouTube Red and everything, and just, you know, playing the video and putting it in your pocket so you can hear the audio and whatnot. Yeah. Do you think there's a place for stuff like this, for us to have, you know, video content out there and really have it be as successful as a podcast?
Well, that's the thing with for like YouTube Red. I think a show like yours would be great because if you do the video, you know what I mean, you can have best of both worlds. Someone could come home, beam it to their TV, or not even. You could just open up your smart TV app and put it on and just watch. You know, the Random Rounds podcast, or if not, they want to take it, put phone in their pocket, freaking click the little button, and they could just listen to it. So you're getting both, you know what I mean? You're getting options. I think that's the thing. You give people options.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to what we was talking about in the beginning with like merchandising and Patreon and all kind of stuff like that. I was so fucking against Patreon. I was just like, oh man, this is the worst thing ever and everything and whatnot. But I looked at it more of what you were saying. It's an option, you know, because if I don't have a Patreon, then nobody contributes and I'm still in the same spot. If I have a Patreon as an option and nobody contributes, I'm still in the same spot. It doesn't hurt me either way. I mean, it's not like I'm paying to use Patreon either. So it's just out there as an option. It's just like how we put the podcast on all these different platforms. Is to give people.
It's the same. It's just something for people who really really fuck with you, and they just want more. Mm-hmm. For instance, my Patreon is gonna have a separate podcast that you can't get unless you're on Patreon. That's something that I'm working on. Again, I haven't launched it, but it is set up and like ready to be launched. It's just I'm still messing with the tiers, but. You know, people who really fuck with you will go and they'll do that. They'll donate, whether it's $1 or $5 or whatever a month. You know, they want to hear it, and you're offering more. They're gonna come for more. That's what's cool about it. When you build your audience, man, it's almost unlimited. You just got to put in the work.
Yeah, so and that's the thing, putting in the work. So I've done this podcast right here consistently for over 4 years now. You know, every week there's an episode out, no breaks, none of that shit. But it's like, for me to do more, your ass is going to have to pay me. Because, like, no, for real, I just got off a 12-hour shift. And then I got hung up at work, as you know, because we were supposed to start a little while ago. Right. And I had to hurry up, get here, and go in the kitchen and try to cook something. And then before I even got to start cooking something, I had to take shit. So I had to go take a shit. That took away more time. Then I had to wash my hands, of course, because you don't want to be
you gotta wash your hands
with no shitty hands. Then I had to go in there and cook and everything, then make sure the kids are straight and whatnot, and then run my ass up here. And you want me to do more outside of that? Nah.
exactly. That's the thing. That's why I was like, hey, bro, no worries. I'm off. I ain't doing shit. I just get ready, do your thing, because I know it's podcasters understand. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's there's a lot, and you have to like I for instance, again, I work overnight,
Hmm.
so when I get home, I'm supposed to technically get off at 6:30 in the morning. That shit never happens.
Hmm.
I'm always there till like 9, sometimes 10. So then by the time you get home, it takes me. I'm driving 49 minutes home. It takes me about an hour during the day at that time with traffic. Then I get home, it's like 11:30. Take a shower, take a shit, eat, do whatever. It's 12 o'clock. If I gotta work that night, which I gotta go in at 9:30, guess what? That's an 8 hour gap. You're supposed to be sleeping 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly. But
Oh,
then, doctor's appointments, kids, family, girlfriend,
yeah.
life,
Yes.
and then you got a podcast. It takes an hour. If you do a podcast that's an hour long, how long does it take you to prepare for that? You know what I mean? You At this point, a professional like yourself can just turn it on and start talking, and you know what I'm saying. But that's still an hour.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. It takes time. So those people who do support, you end up appreciating them. And if it gets to the point where you build your audience to the point where you get maybe 10 patrons, 10 to 15, something like that, and it starts to become where you can put money to the side for it, then you make a little more time. But it's just that building, man. It's the crucial part is the building. And it's hard, man. It is. You got to be super consistent and deliver, which is something I struggle with. But I'm trying to get better. But at the same time, I'm more doing the show for me, if
Yeah.
anything. So that's where I'm kind of comfortable in it right now. But I do want to just continue to do more episodes. I got to hit that 100 mark. Once I hit that 100 mark,
But
I think I'll be a lot better.
according to what you said, technically you already did. But
Yeah, that's true. You're right. You're right.
yeah, because I understand what you're saying. Because I'm like at episode what? I don't know what number this will be because I got a couple in play already. But let's just say 215. Let's just say this is 215. But there's more than 215 episodes because there's
Right.
a annual episode that I've done for the past 4 years, and then for my birthday, Mrs. B Rob always come on, so that's another 4 episodes, and then I think I've done some in the past to where I just like fuck it, I just have an extra episode this week,
Yeah.
So
I used to do there used to be an app called what's it? Not Anchor. Bumpers FM. And I used to podcast on that, but it was a separate thing, and I would do like this thing called Pizza Snob where I'd go to a random pizza shop and just order the 2 slice special and just eat it on the spot and then have a topic, something I wanted to talk about, and then I'd like grade the slice on the spot. And I used to do those. I did a couple of those. I did my Christmas specials, which weren't numbered,
yeah,
and then just random shit like this. Me sitting at the beach talking shit just because I felt like talking about something. And I got a bunch of those episodes in there, but they're not numbered.
now so like you talk about the slices of pizza and everything, and
Mm.
you from the Bronx and everything, so I know
Right.
New York is like one of the pizza capitals of the United States and whatnot. So
I
how?
would say it is the pizza capital of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, you would say that. You're kind of biased, but I mean, how is that? Because aren't you in Florida now? Or
Yeah, I live in Florida. It's funny. I've actually been living in Florida longer than I was living in New York. So it's like, am I still a New Yorker or should I be considered a Floridian? I don't know, but I don't think your hometown ever leaves your body.
no,
So I still consider myself a New Yorker. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's
that's why I
that's
feel
the
like I have
rest.
a flavor advantage when it comes to pizza. So
Yeah, because I mean, I live here in Houston now, but I'm not from here. I'm from Louisiana, and
right,
I lived there 18 years of my life, and then I joined the military, and the rest of my life I've been gone. So I mean,
yeah,
anytime somebody asks me where I'm from Lake Charles, Louisiana,
yeah.
and then
You
back
see,
now I'm living here in Texas. I've been here for about 3 years now, and everybody like, oh man, people I meet here. Of course, not my people back at home, but they be like, oh man, you ready for a Rockets game? I don't give a fuck about the Rockets. Even from here,
Rockets.
you know. But I mean, and it's another thing too is like the Rockets ain't my team, but at the same time, if they do well, I'm kind of happy for them because I live in the city.
Yeah, I get that same shit here, man. Dolphins, Marlins, the Miami Heat. Bro, you know what it is to be a Knicks fan, and I had to live through the LeBron
Ooh.
Miami Heat bullshit when
Mm.
I was here, bro. It was a nightmare, but I never wavered, bro. I stood the test of time on my shitty team.
Yeah.
And they're still shitty, by the way. But that's my team. What can I do? I've been following the Knicks since 1990. I can't stop now. It's
Yeah.
just, it is what it is.
Well, shit, man. I mean, my football team is the Saints, so they
Yeah, but
just
at least they're good.
they just started getting good, but they're not good enough to win the motherfucking championship again.
I like the Saints, though. I respect them. Drew Brees is a beast, and they always seem at least to be competitive, bro. They're not like 3-13 and shit, you
Yeah,
know?
I am grateful for that.
Yeah, because that sucks. Going through that sucks as a Giants fan.
Now, so like, kind of flip back to the podcast and everything. Today, in preparation, I listened to episode 1, and I listened to
Wow.
episode 66 to kind
Wow.
of just compare the two or whatever from where you started into where you currently
Ooh,
are. So
man.
you were talking about life earlier in the podcast or whatever,
Right.
and there is a drastic change from episode 1 to 66. And then, you kind of divulged a little bit of it there too. And then, I am a part of this losers club. This is what we
Mm,
call it. So I am on my second marriage.
okay.
And you not too long ago just ended your first.
Right.
So, I mean, how has the podcast helped you through that? Or when you were going through your different things, being away from the podcast, because I know you said you had some inconsistencies.
Right.
Were you missing the podcast?
Well, that's very interesting. So, um, yeah, like so. For instance, my show in the last maybe 8 to 10 episodes have been I've been a lot more open with myself
Mm.
because of what's been going on. My marriage, and again, I don't put the blame on her.
Yeah.
It was both of us. It sometimes shit just don't work out.
Yeah.
And in my show, where I was helped by the show was I was able to just speak and not be interrupted. You know what I mean? Because like you talk to your friends and you talk to your family, but they want to interject and say, oh, but you should have and you could have, and I always knew that bitch was no good for you. And it's like sometimes you don't want to hear that
Yeah.
shit. You just want to like get the shit out. You want to get all the shit that you had inside you out. And and again, people are trying to help you, but sometimes you don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah.
You already know these things. So for me, my show, I was able to put my mic down and just start talking, and I was able to get a lot of things off my chest. Like I
Yeah.
was able to just pour it all out. And then it was funny because one of the first episodes that I did where I spoke on it, once I hit stop, I was like, damn, do I upload this shit? Uh, but I was like, you know what, man, fuck it. And I just, did my little thing and made my little summary and uploaded that shit and just, it was kind of like fire and forget. I know that's a military term you're probably
Yeah.
familiar with. I fired that shit off and I closed everything and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go do something and see how this goes. And then it wasn't bad. I got a lot of good reception from it.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like my phone started ringing because I'm a fairly private person, even though I air a lot of shit out on my podcast. And people were
Yeah.
calling me like, yo, what the fuck? What happened? Da 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 da. Are you okay? This is like, nah, I'm cool, bro. I'm good. Going through shit, but it's cool. So it definitely helped me out in my situation big time, and I honestly I don't know. Um, I honestly don't know what I would have done without it because
Sure.
I'm not the type of person to call you up and be like, yo, Rob, man, I gotta talk to you, man. My fucking wife. I'm not that person, bro. I'm just not gonna do that. I don't like putting my problems on people.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was just it was like a weight off my chest to be able to just speak into a inanimate object for
Yeah.
as long as I wanted to. And then when I felt like I was done, I hit stop and then I was done. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
And I mean, I get everything you saying, man. I mean, for me and my divorce and whatnot, you know, it was weird because I got those comments like how you were saying it in the beginning before I even got married. He's like, she ain't shit, you know. But you know, when you're young and in love, you know, you do what the fuck you want. It's like, I don't give a goddamn what you say. This is my life. I do what the hell I want. Yada yada yada. And then you jizz in somebody and get them pregnant. And
man.
and then you be like, well, I gotta do what's right for the baby. And you know, I had a family growing up, so this child's got to have a family growing up. You know, you put yourself in that space and whatnot, even though you know that it's bad.
Yeah, you kind of. It's crazy, man, because you know and of course hindsight is 2020. I now looking back on things, I can say this, and of course people are like, oh yeah, of course you think that now, but at the time, why didn't you think it? And it's like I did think it, but so I knew when I got with my ex that this is not the ideal situation, but she's nice, and you know it's just cool, and you know we literally we started dating, and like within I don't know, bro, within or before 6 months we like moved in together.
Yeah.
And we moved in together, and we were fucking banging all over the house, banging on the bed, banging in the kitchen, banging on the fucking.
I think that's what
just flying all over the goddamn apartment. And you know that shit. I don't want to say that was done purposely, but it's almost like a control thing. Like you start busting nuts, and you lose your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
And you know, from there, you know, we stayed together, and even though my mom was telling me stuff, it's funny, like the people closest to you don't listen to them.
Of course.
Like your mom's just telling you shit, and you're like, I don't want to hear that shit. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then later on, it's like, damn, why didn't I just listen to my mother, man? Fuck.
Yeah. And then, you know, having kids or whatever, you find yourself in that same situation because, you know, with my older two, because that's the same lady that I had, you know, my first two kids with, is like, I never talked about their mother. I mean, not saying like she didn't exist or nothing, but I never talked about her in a negative,
derogatory way or anything.
But you know, on their end, you can ask any of them. The older two is just like, oh, she talked about me like I'm a goddamn dog. But I didn't want to have that on the books, so to speak, because you know, now that they're older and they understand more things and whatnot, I'll ask them. I was like, when have you ever heard me talk bad about your mama? Never. But how she do me? You know, this and that. So, you know, it teaches them both sides of the coin and whatnot. So when they were old enough to where they understand, because like my oldest now is 19 and she's about to graduate. And then my son is 17 now and he'll be graduating next year.
Awesome.
They see that shit. You know, it's like, I'm hard on them. I'm always going to be hard on them, you know, and I ain't going to lie to them and I ain't going to bullshit to them, but I ain't going to slander nobody to make my point. I'll let that person prove it themselves. You
exactly.
Know? So I was like, hey, you know how your mama can get sometime, you know, just from y'all dealing with her and whatnot. But it's not nothing that I haven't prepared you and told you about before. So when some shit happened, you shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's funny because everything you're saying is like the right thing. You just want to do the right thing, and it's funny is on paper it seems like men and women should not go together. Like, women feed off of emotions, and men basically they will logic the shit out of you. At least that's how I've seen it. And technically, those two things probably shouldn't go together because the more logic you give to a woman, the more and you're like, no, but it's like this.
Yeah, you just pick this piece of paper up and you put it on top of this, and that thing is complete. But what about if the paper is pink instead of white like this one? No.
Yeah.
You know,
where are you coming with this goddamn hypothetical? But what if all of a sudden the sky falls and then it's raining and then it's like, but what the fuck? When is that gonna happen? But what if it happens? It's not gonna happen. But what if it does?
So
and then you just like, all right, okay.
So my current wife, Mrs. B-Rob, or whatever, we got a 9-year-old together. Smart as a whip. She get that from her mama. So damn, she got her mama tendencies and everything. My wife is an emotional person, and she liked the details. She liked to talk. She writes. She's an author.
Nice.
So I see that in the little one. So when I ask her a simple question, is like, "Did you do this today?" Well, I went upstairs and I did this, and I went over here and I picked this up, and I was like, "Hey, did you, yes or no, do this thing?" Yes. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
There you go.
was,
Black and white.
Yeah, and it's like what I told my kids. I was like, with me, I ask you a question is either yes or no, more than likely. The only time that you need to have times, details, descriptions, and everything is when you're talking to the cops. I don't need all that.
Well, let me ask you something. Since you say you have 3 kids, so I don't have any kids myself, but I come from a large family of brothers and sisters.
Same.
So as far as when you do your show, do you ever find yourself like not wanting to talk about certain things because your kids might listen to your podcast, or do you just this is what it is and you just spit what you spit, and if they hear it or whatnot?
Well, it goes back to kind of what you were saying before. They're born in this technology, so I mean, they know what I do, and they know me and how I talk. So what I say is not a surprise to them. And at the time, I was afraid to say how I feel on the podcast because I wasn't really doing that here in the house. So we could talk about something here in the house and I'd just be like blah, nah, not really. But I'll get on the podcast and be like, all this shit and motherfucker and all this and whatnot, So I tried to make them one and the same, because I was a introvert, a reserved person or whatever, but you never tell that from what you hear and see me doing in Walmart or talking on the podcast and all that stuff.
Right.
I was very reserved. I kept a lot of shit to myself. And I feel like me meeting my wife and starting this podcast, it kind of changed all that, because when I was in the military, it was just straight up military shit. You get in, you do the job, you do what the fuck you're supposed to, you go the fuck home, and that's what it is. So I kept a lot of that shit with me when it came to my family. It was just like, what do you need as a child? You need a roof, you need food, you need clothes, a couple hugs and kisses every now and then. So I just did the basic necessities, the shit that I'm supposed to do, because I was just like, get in, do the job, do what the fuck you're supposed to do, get the hell out. But doing the podcast and starting to slowly separate from the military, you rediscover yourself. And then you start to look at yourself almost from the outside, as a third party and shit, just like, oh shit. Because you talk to different people like you and, everybody else, and you get their perspective and how different they are from you, because not everybody I talk to is in the military. So I'm seeing all these different, hearing all these different experiences and everything, and how they came up and how they do with their kids and so on and so forth. And I'm like, wow, I don't do none of that shit.
Hey, shit.
And then to kind of answer your question again, so when I talk like this on the podcast, it's kind of meant for them to hear it if they ever sought it out, because I know I don't air a lot of it, out loud here so much, but like, this is my documentary. This is my testimony here. So like, oh, my dad did, think this about this sometimes, because a lot of times it's not me just, I don't have a problem telling them this. There's a lot of times that I'm so stern and I've been so how I've been for so many years. It's kind of hard for them to come to me sometimes to ask me shit, because they think because what it used to be is, hey, what's this and this? I was like, go find that shit out, because that's how I was, that's how I got taught. Because like in the military, it's just like you don't really ask questions, you adapt and you fucking overcome. So the thing is, before you go to somebody and ask the question, you need to exhaust all means before that question even comes up to ask someone. So like, before I come to you and be like, hey, how do I do this? I should have been on the internet. I should have looked in manuals. I should have did all the work first. And if I couldn't figure it out then I should be at your feet like, how the fuck do I do this?
Yeah, really. Like and it's not like it's for us back in the day. I had to go get a goddamn Encyclopedia Britannica and
Yes.
find fucking okay A through E, E through Z. Okay, this one. Fucking look in a book. Now all you gotta do is go to Google,
Yeah.
type it in, and it's all, dude. Literally, you said you listened to my first episode, which I thank you for that. Um, the way I started my show, I was sitting at the house one day. Literally, this is exactly what I did. I had been thinking about doing a podcast, and I said, you know what? How the fuck do I even start it? I grabbed my phone. How to start a podcast. I started reading. I said, what can I use to edit podcasts? Audacity. I downloaded Audacity into my laptop, and then I looked at it, and I was reading a little bit. I said, all right, I got this shit. Uh, I opened up Audacity, played with it for like 10 minutes, figured out how to start, stop, record, whatever. Then I went on YouTube, looked up free beats, blah, blah, blah. I found a beat that I liked, fucking cut it, put it on.
Yep.
Then I just grabbed my PlayStation headset.
Then
PlayStation headset, bro. Plugged it into my laptop, put it on, made sure it worked, and then I recorded the first episode. Recorded it. Then I Googled how to upload podcasts onto iTunes.
Yep.
Figured that shit out in like 10 minutes and uploaded that shit. That's the story of my first episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't fucking ask anybody how to do it. I didn't go, hey, bro, can you teach me how to do this and that or whatever? I just figured it out. Bro, do you know how many people have asked me and texted me about how to do shit in regards to podcasting? And then once I help them, they disappear from my life. You know how many people have done that shit to me? I've gotten random texts like, yo, I gotta talk to you, bro. Can you hit me up? I'm like, oh shit, yeah. I'll call them up and be like, yo, what's going on? Hey, bro. Hey, how you doing, man? You okay? Everything good? You know, how you been? I haven't talked to you in a while. Yeah, I'm cool. What's up, man? What's going on? Hey, how do you upload your podcast to iTunes?
Yeah.
The fuck kind of random ass question. And I'm like, okay, well, you do it like this, do it like that, and I'll send you I'll give me your email, I'll send you, detailed instructions. I write out fucking detailed instructions, send it to them. And it's like, oh man, cool, thank you. Fucking hear from that person again in months. Then the next thing you know, they're online promoting their shit. They're like, oh, we're on iTunes now, we're on here, we're on there. But like, hey, thanks to Lou for helping out with and not that I need the, you know what I'm saying? Not that I need that kind of validation, but bro, if it was the other way around, I'd be like, damn, shout out to Ramblin' Rob for showing me how to upload my podcast to iTunes, at least a little, like, some type of recognition that somebody helped me, because in my mind, I'm shouting you out, and you're getting attention, I'm getting attention, and you're building, like, a little small kind of group or a network or something, or at least you're starting to build one.
Yeah.
But I was saying earlier, man, podcasting is a weird game, man.
Yeah.
I've had people fall off. I've donated to people's Patreons, bro. Gotten no type of recognition. Whenever somebody, posts a link to like their merch shop or something, I go in there. If I fuck with the show, I'll buy a shirt. I'll post a picture of the shirt. I don't get it's just weird, man.
Yeah.
I find it weird. It may sound like selfish, but for me, bro, if somebody went to my merch store and bought a shirt from my TeePublic store,
yeah,
bro, I'll screenshot your picture, shout you out, go look at your social media, see what you're promoting, promote that shit, forward it to, that's just shit that I do. Like, because if you fuck with me, I fuck with you.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. But a lot of people in this game, man, they kind of, it's weird, bro. They just seem to want to get little pieces from you, pieces from Rob, pieces from Lou, pieces from Dan, pieces from over here, and just kind of use it and to push themselves up. And they don't want to help anybody to take them with them. Shit, it's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, I have same thing. I have many people run up on me and be like, hey man, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I have no problem giving, what I know, because I was once that person and I didn't have anybody per se to help me out, because, in the beginning, I didn't have anybody to help me out. Because like now, it's like, just say here today, I wanted to start a podcast. I mean, I know you, I know this guy. I know this guy. I mean, I have a wealth of people in the podcast game that I can pull from. If I have questions. But back in 2016, when I just like how you did, like shit, I think I'm gonna start a podcast. What the fuck I need to do? There was nobody to reach out to and be like, hey, what the fuck? It's like I'm a text Kevin Smith or some shit.
Yeah.
It's all about this. But at the same time, I don't get on. I'm not against anybody wanting to try it. I recommend that everybody try to start a podcast.
Oh no, bro!
But
I recommend everybody, bro. There's 900,000 podcasts currently.
well, shit. Last time I
900,000.
checked, it was 700,000. But now
900,000, bro. And I recommend, bro. To me, when I talk to people about podcasting, like when I went to that conference, and I got to talk about it, I was telling people like, dude, podcasting is the new like Facebook. Like it's so easy, bro. You could download Anchor.
Yeah.
There's a million apps. I'm not trying to like promote apps or whatever on your show, but there's a million apps. You could just download it and they make it to the point where all you have to do is record your voice.
Yeah.
And then they have little mechanisms on the app where you could add music, you can add little drops, you can add sound effects. They uploads it to iTunes for you. You don't even have to like deal with that. And it does it for free.
Yeah.
Like anybody can do it, but a lot of people are very timid and they think it's not as hard as it used to be, man. It's a lot easier now.
Like we said in the beginning, we got to see it start and we got to evolve into what it is now.
Yeah, now it's crazy.
Shit is what was I gonna say? Goddamn, I lost it.
It does happen.
That podcast shit. That's why I record everything, because I forget so much shit. But yeah, I don't know.
But like I'm saying, just trying to I recommend everybody start one, bro.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you have any kind of idea, if you really love pottery, if you're really into sewing, crochet, if you into origami, golf, if you're really, really, really into something, there's an audience out there looking for a podcast about it. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is, bro. Whittling, fucking, like, dude, literally anything.
Yeah.
And the more niche, probably the better for you.
Yes.
Because you're gonna find those weird people who are looking exactly for that, and they're gonna follow you if you're good, of course.
Yes, but like what I was gonna say is just like I'm with you. I mean, everybody should try it. But what I do ask of you, if you don't like that shit, take it out with you when you leave.
Yeah, true.
Give me some bandwidth, goddammit. Give me some damn some
I
room.
also have a demand for certain people out there. And this is one of the first things I did when I started. Please, fucking for the love of God, do your proper research and make sure that the name that you want is not already taken. Okay?
Yeah.
Because when I started my show, the first thing that I thought of was the Everything Podcast. Because I wanted to talk about sports, gaming,
Everything.
wrestling, politics. I wanted to talk about everything. I didn't have a set topic, so I was like, fuck it. The Everything Podcast is perfect for me. Google the Everything Podcast. Literally, maybe 3 or 4 things popped up, but they were podcasts that were dormant since like 2013, 2014. Yeah. They had like one episode recorded in 2013. This was 3 years later. I was like, oh, I'm fucking using it. Fuck you. Yeah. I went on Instagram, typed in the Everything Podcast to create that page, and the name was available. So I was like, oh, I'm cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? I did 20, 30, 40 episodes already with that name, with the hashtag the Everything Podcast, hashtag TEP, hashtag the Everything Radio, and then here comes another motherfucker. The Everything Podcast starts using the hashtag, create happy-go-lucky ass motherfucker decides to call his podcast the Everything Podcast, using the same hashtag. Now I'm looking up my hashtags and I'm seeing other people and I'm like, do you not see me? Because when you Google the Everything Podcast, bitch, my shit pops up. The first thing that pops up is me.
Yeah.
So I contacted this person. I'm like,
the fuck?
Good. And they're like, oh, I searched and I didn't see anything, so I thought I was good. I was like, no, you're not good, bro. You're not good. So that's all I ask, bro. Some people just please do the research and make sure your name is not taken because that's a big deal, man. I don't want to have to call a lawyer and do all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Just pick another fucking name.
Yeah, I didn't realize how common the name Rob was across podcasting medium. Because there's a lot of motherfuckers in the podcasting game that go by Rob and shit. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
ugh, whatever. I put E in front of my shit, B Rob. So I mean,
Right. Nah, but you have a very specific name for your show, bro. If somebody comes out with a random ramblings with Rob podcast, then that's a big problem, bro.
yeah. Because what it originally was going to be in the first iteration, what it was going to be the Robcast, because like Robcast podcast, but there's a motherfucker that has that, and his shit is like he's sponsored. He's like one of them paid motherfuckers. So I was just like, nope, I can't use that shit. And even when I was using the hashtag Robcast or whatever, majority of his shit came up. So I'm about to start slowly slacking off on that or whatever.
Yeah, getting
it was
away
just
from it.
It was just so much because like I just had a whole bunch of hashtags on a document and I would just copy paste them shits and I wasn't even thinking about it or whatever. Then I got bored one day, started looking through them shits to see if all my shit would pop up, and I was seeing more of his shit than my shit, and I was just like, yeah, I'm stop using this one.
Yeah, man, that's why I kind of when I do it, I come up with like I have I think now I can't remember the damn hashtags that I use, but I try to use several different ones. I see you do the same thing, just so that they all kind of lead you to the same place if you click on them. But it gets difficult, man. It's obviously there's a 900,000 podcasts. That's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who you're gonna run into the same ideas, and but just research and make sure you're not taking someone else's shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm waiting for the day I find the motherfucking name, the Random Rambles with Rob.
That's what I was saying. That would be a big problem, bro.
I'm waiting.
Somebody try to take that. That's a problem.
I already had the thing, midway through with the social media change from trying to going from I had originally RRRPC for my handle on Twitter, and then I was just like, man, that's a mouthful, and it started sounding silly to me to kind of promote that at the end of every show. I was like, you can follow me on Twitter at RRR, wait for it, PC. And I was just like, 3R show. I got 3 R's in the title. It's a show. Boom. But Instagram, they got this one punk motherfucker on there that hadn't used his account since motherfucking September 26th, goddamn 2017.
Oh my God.
Oh no, I lied, 2016. And Jesus. I done DM'd. I tried to get it blocked for spam. I tried to get it canceled. I can't get that motherfucker. So that's why my Instagram now is the 3R show.
Oh shit! Send me that DM later. I'll report him for spam. Try to get him the fuck out of here. Get him out of here.
I always talk shit about it, but like I'm thinking about it now because I got on TikTok not too long ago, and I don't do any videos on that motherfucker. I have a TikTok account just so I can look at TikTok. Good. So I kind of starting to think about that person having 3R show on Instagram, not posting shit. They probably have an Instagram account just to have the Instagram account to look at Instagram shit.
Oh, just to look at stuff, yeah.
So true. I don't think about it that way. But still, you punk motherfucker.
No, make another name then. The fuck, you don't need that name if you're not posting anything. Shit, change your name.
Yeah. Start pissing all over your shit. Oh man.
I haven't jumped on that TikTok thing, man. I feel like I'm too old for that shit.
Hey man, I thought the same thing because like one of my kids was on it, and I thought it was like some shit, like I don't know, something that they wasn't supposed to be on. So I was always on ass about it, and then
you gotta check all that shit.
Yeah,
too,
I was constantly having to do that shit. So I thought it was another one of those things that she ain't had no business being on until one day I seen a funny ass video that came from TikTok, and I couldn't view it without going to TikTok or some shit like that. So I went in there and I just started looking around. I was like, oh, this shit is pretty good.
Oh, cool.
And I just stayed. Because I mean, it's not nothing really raunchy or nothing. There ain't no bitches on there shaking. Well, they are, but they ain't.
No, there. I'm sure there are.
It's not
There
like
is.
it's not like Instagram. It's nothing like that. It's
Yeah,
more
let's
tame.
plug. It's funny. I was on Twitter earlier, and I saw this video. It wasn't a TikTok, but it was just a video, and it made me think. It was a video of this chick, and it said personality test. I'm gonna retweet it so
Oh
you can see
yeah,
it later.
she had the jean top on.
In the car.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Okay, right.
I
So
watched
I'm watching.
today. I
So,
showed that to one of my employees.
so I'm watching this. I'm look. I think actually you might have clicked. No, another guy I know clicked like on it. That's how I saw it. So I'm looking at this video, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. It's nice, of course.
Yes.
And then I'm like, who the hell is this person? And I'm scrolling through her comments, and everybody, oh, it's a bunch of guys just posting titties, titties,
Yeah.
titties, titties, titties. So I'm like, y'all don't realize that everybody sees when you reply, but that's another story.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling through this thing, and I'm like, who is this girl? So I go click on her Instagram handle. She has 80 tweets
Mm-hmm.
and 14.4K followers.
Yes.
80 tweets,
Mm-hmm.
and she's got 14,000 plus people following her Twitter page.
Yeah.
So I responded to her, which I usually don't do because I try to be a creep and keep it moving. But I responded to her and I go, I write exactly that. I go, 80 tweets, 14.4K followers. Either this girl is a scholar or people on Twitter really like titties.
Yeah. So much so that you need to look up hashtag Titty Tuesday on Twitter.
Oh my God, yeah, bro, Twitter is a dangerous place, dude.
No,
Dangerous place. So is Instagram, really.
Well, shit, I think Twitter is more dangerous than Instagram because you ain't gonna see a man getting fucked by a mini horse on Instagram.
Not on the gram. Yo, Twitter is funny because I'll be scrolling through looking at my news feed and just seeing news, and then all of a sudden it's a woman getting penetrated by a man. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Where did this come from? And it's like an account that I followed like years ago that will post like randomly like once or twice a year of just like straight porn. There's regular porn, but it's just like, okay, I'm glad my mom wasn't looking over my shoulder and seeing what I was fucking like. I was trying to show her something on Twitter because Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dog, I was on there a couple of days ago, and it's almost like you want your show to profit, and how we talk about it, and have sponsors and everything like that. But sometimes you pass up some shit on Twitter that you just can't idly just let go by. And I had to retweet this shit, whatever. I seen a lady, and it just like how you saying, I was just scrolling up.
Minding my business.
And 5 Nerf basketballs just came out of this lady asshole. And I was like, what? Like, retweet.
Oh my God, bro. Yeah, Twitter's crazy, man. I just, that's one thing. Going back to that girl, man, you know, when I responded to her, I started thinking to myself, it's like, man, you know, women are always complaining about, and I don't want to become like the leader of the man-hating woman club or whatever, but it's so fucking easy for them to build like as long as you got some big titties and a big ass and you're willing to put on something very skimpy,
Mm-hmm.
you will get thousands and thousands of followers, whereas I'm over here trying to put out that quality content for that ass,
Mm-hmm.
and I got 600 followers. Not that I really care, you know what I'm saying? But it's like you're trying to build and you're not trying to you know, rely on smut. But god damn it,
I'm about to start wearing Speedos and shaking my balls.
I'm gonna do something, man, because smut sells on Twitter, boy. Let me tell you.
I you know, and I'm looking at Twitter more and more now. It's just like I'm thinking a lot of this shit is a setup. You know, and when you hear what I'm about to say, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. Hey, I'm going on a long trip or whatever. You got any podcast recommendations?
Oh my God, I hate that shit. Every time I see one of those, I just reply, no.
I used to be all aboard that shit, man. But like now I just tag one specific account because we saying the same thing, and I just do that to fuck with them. I'll be like, wheelbarrow full of dicks. WFOD podcast. I tagged him every time. I was like, yeah. And then what's another thing is
That's so
I
funny.
don't know how they doing this shit, but a motherfucker will post a video and then right up under it, whoa, this blow up. I didn't have anything to,
Yeah.
you
Yo,
know.
but is that so? That's fake.
No, to me, it seemed like something is up because it's happening way too often.
Yeah, it happens. I see that shit a lot on my, and I don't know if that's because there's people on my that I follow that are just
Mhm.
clicking on shit that's trending and clicking like on it, and that's why I'm seeing it. But bro, I see that a lot, man. I'll click on a trending video or something, and it's got a bunch of comments. So I like to look at the comments, and then first comment is the dude who posted the video, like, "Whoa, this shit blew up. Follow my Instagram. Follow my whatever. Follow my
Yeah,
this."
see,
Or they'll go, "I don't have shit to promote, but
yeah,
here's my Instagram. Here's my business. Here's my thing." So it's like, what the fuck? Yeah,
see,
you're right. I do see that a lot.
yeah, see, that's the thing though. It's just like if it was a random occurrence, I get it. It's the internet. Shit happens like that. But for it to be the same thing every time, pretty much the same phrasing verbatim. Oh, I did this blew up quick. Here's this, and it's like the different people saying the same shit.
Yeah.
I mean that seems suspect to me.
I
It was
know. I
just
know
like,
there's a lot of bots out there. I mean,
yeah, and it's just like the podcast recommendation thing. When it first started happening, it wasn't as often, so it was just like, oh, a couple people, saying, and like, oh yeah, I was promoting my podcast like it was cool and putting other people's names and all kinds of shit.
yeah.
Then it was the same exact phrasing every time, and then it was just like happening, just about every hour now. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay. So first of all, if you got a motherfucker that's on the internet in 2020 with a Twitter account that was started in 2009, and this bitch is asking what are podcasts, give me recommendations.
Something's wrong.
Something is wrong.
Something's fishy.
Something is up. Something is weird about that to me. You game in the system because what they're trying to do is get all those engagements and impressions and likes on their tweets and shit. Which is
it's funny.
cool, but there's other ways to try to go about that. And at the same time, I'm a fickle motherfucker, and I just repost a lot of my own shit all the time, expecting this different result to happen and shit. But it's the internet. I don't know what I was saying just now.
No, it's of course random ramblings. That's what it's all about. I used to post on those stupid ass. Oh, got any podcasts? I remember the first time I saw one of those, I was like, oh,
Hell yeah.
put my podcast on there, and maybe I'll get some. Maybe I'll, gosh darn it, I'll get some followers.
Now,
No, not a like, not a retweet, not a hey, I'll check this out, not a goddamn thing. Just a bunch of people in there posting their podcasts. And after I did that like 2 or 3 times, I started thinking to myself, I was like, all these people are in there posting their podcasts, and I'm not looking at their shit. Why the fuck is anybody gonna look at mine?
Yeah. And then, what started making it even more fishy to me, it was motherfucking verified accounts using the same phrasing, doing the same. It's like, bitch, you verified. What is you doing? It goes back to what we were saying. If you looking for something, especially if it's niche, there's a search bar.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going over here asking random strangers for shit that I can just type in myself and they'll give you the same shit that they're telling you because they did the same thing. Hey,
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a podcast about freaking cuttlefish or some shit? And you asking this on Twitter, then that motherfucker will go over and he'll search cuttlefish and give you the link to the shit he just searched when your ass could have just searched same shit and found the same thing.
That's why I love that. What's that Linktify shit when you somebody asks that and then you send them the link to the Google.
Yeah.
And like they click on the link and it opens up the Google search and you see it typing in the exact question and then it shows the results. It's like, here, you could have done this. This is what you could have done exactly done instead of wasting my time.
But is it a thing of instant gratification? Is
It's
that
like,
because
no, it's like that. I forgot what it's.
If you have the information that I want, I'm gonna ask you because you have the information that I want. Because like if I get on Google, cuttlefish podcast, something's gonna pop up. but is it the right one that I want, or is it
Bro,
you
true.
know,
Yeah.
this, or is it two different types, or do I go down? Is it a red cuttlefish or blue cuttlefish? You
Yeah, I
know,
mean, yeah, that's true. On Twitter, you do get the you do get the actual people going, "Hey, I like this cuttlefish podcast in particular is very good, so check this one out." So you do have that advantage. But there's some people who just like any good podcast out there. It's like, yeah,
just
this
be some rapid
not
motherfuckers. We
optional
want
though.
attention.
What the fuck kind of question is that? Are there any good podcasts out there to listen to? Yeah, of course there are.
Yeah, I mean, and then it's subjective too, because like anybody can say their podcast is good because it's their fucking podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Like my podcast is awesome. Is it?
you
I
think
have
so?
some friends of mine who, bro, I
I got
really hope some people. I want everyone to listen to your show, but I don't want anybody getting offended either. But bro, I know some people who do some podcasts, and they're not very good.
yeah. And then
But
at that same token, I know people who do podcasts that aren't very good, but they following is big than a motherfucking. I don't understand it.
weird. It's a that's what I'm saying, man. This is a weird ass game we're doing, man.
It's a weird song and dance.
I think it's very strange, man. I personally, and it's not just because it's my show,
Mhm.
but I think I put the amount of effort that I put into what I say. I think it's at least entertaining. But man, some people, and not even just the content, like their audio quality is shit.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes it's like the intro music is loud as fuck, and you gotta like pull your head back from the earphones sometimes, and then they'll start talking, and the volume's way lower, and it's scratchy, and it's like, dude, you gotta. I know I'm saying everybody should start one, but dude, at least like I used to when I would, bro, it used to take me forever to do an episode because I would first of all write all these notes. I have like 5 pages of fucking notes, and then I'm like reading off the notes, and then I went to the store and I went and I was like, this is dumb. Why am I doing this? But I would have mad notes, then I'd record it, and then I would listen back to it for any audio spikes or
Yeah.
because what I would do is I'd do a segment, stop it, take a little break, come back, do the next segment, do the next segment. So if I didn't like that segment, bro, I'd redo the whole fucking segment. I'd delete it and fucking redo it. Just because if I don't think the audio was loud enough, and this was before I learned how to edit the actual audio
Yeah.
volume levels and all that shit. So I was doing double work. But again, I was doing that because I wanted it to sound the best that it could. You
Yeah.
know, some
That-
people are just blah, 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 and sending, and it's like, dude, I can't listen to this. It sounds bad.
Yeah. I was trying to in the beginning like edit out any dead space. I mean, breathing, everything. It was just like I typed it in one of those voice translators, like it'll read all your text and everything.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to be like just all continuous words, no breaths, no breathing, just words and lords and weeds and noise and everything. I just wanted to be continuous audio with no breaks in it at all.
Right.
I took out clicking noises. I tried to edit out my dog barking in the background, all kind of bullshit.
My brother told me he told me because I had brought that up to him because I say a lot on my show for some reason.
Well, everybody in the podcast game says like a lot too.
Oh, that's one. Luckily, I don't do that too much. I do a lot, and it gets to the point where I hear myself doing it and I get annoyed as I'm recording. And I just did it again. And when I was living in my old place, I had 3 dogs, and it seemed like every time I was recording, that's when they wanted to get up and shake their collars, and you hear the clink, 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 clink. And I was telling my brother, I was like, dude, I'm trying to edit all these noises out, but it's annoying, and it's that. He goes, nah, but you know what? That shit's endearing when you have like that stuff in your podcast. As long as it doesn't like, take over the show. It's like it shows like you're, just a regular dude, and your dogs are there in the background. And back in the day on my old episodes, I had a chair that was very squeaky.
Oh,
It didn't matter what I did to it, it would squeak. So every time I moved, you'd hear that shit. Little things like that. He said it was kind of like endears you to the public. So I just kind of learned to live with them.
I used to be the same way because whenever the door was closed, I'm working, so don't come in here. Don't knock unless somebody dying or the house
You're
on.
like you're like fucking Jack Nicholson in The Shining. When you see me typing.
But now it's just like I don't even give a shit no more because like you said, it adds another layer to the show. Because right now, shit. Even you seen the video on Instagram to where I was doing this. What we doing now? I was doing my outro for this last show, and my wife walked in, and I was just like, "Fuck it, come on in." And then the kid will do the same thing. The 9-year-old, like if she already went to sleep though, but like if it's her bedtime and I'm in here recording, she'll fling that door open and come up in here. Night night. Hey, I'm on camera. Hi y'all, and she leave. Bye baby.
That's funny. Yeah, I used to have that with my dogs because we had dogs and cats. And at one point, I would go in the office and I would close the door because it was like a sliding door. Because I didn't want any of them coming in. I didn't want them whatever. Bro, when I closed that door, it was like the cat was like,
yep.
And I'm sitting there trying to record like, and I'm in flowing, like I'm going, like I'm in a fucking zone and I'm flowing and I'm like, this fucking cat. I'm trying to kick it, the fucking door with my leg and trying not to interrupt the show. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm leaving the door open. And once I did that, they didn't even bother coming in anymore. It's like the door's open, so they don't care. But when it's closed, that's when they're like, why is this door closed? What's going on in here? What's on the other side of this door? And they'll start scratching and crying and all kind of shit.
Yeah. The only reason the door is closed now is just because I'm loud sometimes, and I they in there trying to sleep or they doing whatever. I ain't trying to interrupt them or whatever. But every now and then, if you hear that little somebody that came in here or they peeking in here to see what I'm doing.
Right. Yo, so I know we're kind of cutting close to the end here, but you, I call you a professional podcaster because you've actually interviewed like super famous people. When I started my show, my intent was to never interview anybody, no guests ever. But I ended up having a couple guests here and there. But you interviewed fucking Michael Jai White.
Yes.
How did you end up meeting him, and how did you make that happen? Because that is like he's like one of my, that's fucking Al Simmons, bro.
Yeah,
that's
man.
one of my heroes from childhood, man. And when I saw that you interviewed him, I like had to stand up and fucking applaud you because I was like, dude, that is huge. And honestly, I don't think you flaunt that enough. I think you're a little too humble.
Oh, no, man. Well, the way it went down is, just like how you were saying you listen to podcasts. I do the same thing. And he was a guest on 2 of the podcasts that I listened to. And, those 2 podcasts that I listened to, I can kind of say, like, I know those people. I've talked to them before. And I was like, if he on their show, well, why the hell he can't be on mine? So, I got with them and I was like, how'd you get in contact with him? And I got the email address for his production company, Gigantic Films.
Okay.
So it's public knowledge. It's not like it's hidden, and then you can go to the website and the contact info is there. So I put a request in to have him on the show. And I think maybe a little less than a month later, I got an email response. And then we tried to work something out. He was kind of busy at the time. And then they hit me back, a little less than a month later again saying, hey, this is the days you can do it and this is the time. And I was like, bet, I'm there.
Wow.
So it's just asking, man. It's like people ask me stuff like that, and it's not a secret. I'm not trying to hide nothing. I ain't got no hidden nothing. It's just I ask, and they just so happen to say yes, or it's just a time and luck or whatever you want to call it. And
man, that's dope. Because I would have assumed that that's something that I assumed that if I was to try to do that or whatever, not saying that I wanted to, but because I think I would be very intimidated. I'd probably be like Chris Farley, like, so remember in Spawn when you jumped off that building? Yeah, that was awesome. But I would assume that I would always assume the worst because I tend to do that. But I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm sure his assistant's gonna be like, yeah, you could interview him on the 17th from between like 7 to 8:30, and it's gonna be about 10 racks.
Yeah,
Like, oh, okay,
dude,
all right.
I've
Just
had that.
because,
Yeah, I've had that only happen one time,
wow.
and the dude was only asking $25, and I was still like, no.
Oh my
and,
God.
and see, and this is the thing though.
Were
This
you
was
interviewing a crackhead?
no. This was after Michael Jai White. This was after Brian Cage and Kiera Hogan and all these people that's on national TV every week and every
Wow,
day.
bro.
And he was like $25, and he was just like a guy that went viral kind of quick.
Why
And
would you?
and he was local here in Houston. I was just trying to like put him on and help him out. And he was
Why,
like,
bro? Why would you ask for $25 though? That's fucking weird, bro. If I get, I'll do it for a bag of Doritos, 2 Mountain Dews,
well,
and 3 packs of Now Laters. I'll
look,
come on your show.
thinking back at it now, it's just kind of like he had a viral video. He was able to go on like a real radio station because of his video. And I would imagine that, how I did, I seen him, I seen that he was here local, and I hit him up. So $25 from me, then five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10 other motherfuckers might have hit him up. That's $25 each of them.
Yeah, okay.
Trying to make a little quick come up.
Right.
Which,
That math starts to add up. You right. And I figure, I guess maybe $25 is like a. If I ask them for $25, everybody, if you podcasting, you probably got $25. So I get it from him, I get it from her, I get it from the other guy. It's
yeah,
a quick $100. All right.
yeah.
All right.
I
It's
mean,
starting to make sense.
I couldn't fault him at the time, but it was just like what I told you. I was like, I talked to Michael Jai White for free. Well, I'm gonna pay you $25, and I don't even know shit that you've done other than this one video.
Wow, that's crazy. I was
But
speaking to him. I saw that video. It popped up on my timeline not too long ago where he and I was like, I gotta make sure to ask Rob about this guy. That stupid ass was that Bad to the Bone when he fights Kimbo Slice
blood
in
and
the
bone.
fucking in the jail. Oh, Blood and Bone. Right, yeah. That video popped up where he fights Kimbo Slice. R.I.P. Kimbo Slice.
Yeah.
That's just like that's a bad motherfucker right there, man. I don't know why he's not more like, because he's a fucking big dude. He's a handsome dude, no homo. He's a fucking good actor and shit. Like, why isn't Michael Jai White like a fucking superstar or something, bro?
Not to cut you off, but shout outs to Brandon from the Code 45 podcast. We had a cold conversation about the pause and the no homo thing.
Oh, yeah, the pause game, no homo. Yeah, it's almost vernacular at this point.
Yeah, I know it's like a part of the language for a while, but it was like we had the conversation to where, why do we even do that? You should be confident in your masculinity to give another man a compliment. And then we was like, what's gonna happen? He said, we got some gay people just hiding in the bushes waiting for you not to say it. They could jump on you and shit. Oh, you didn't say no homo. I got you
You
now.
didn't say no homo. Here it comes.
Shout out to Code 45.
Shit.
But yeah, man. I don't know. But what I kind of feel, and my wife told me this as well, is I don't capitalize on those because I'm not doing a humble brag, but at the same time I am trying to be humble. Whatever. It's like I had him on the show, and I would like in my mind. I mean, I'm not doing this shit, but like I want to email this motherfucker every other week to try to have him on the show.
Yeah.
But
you want to be a co-host?
yeah, just you want to be a part of my podcast,
Random Ramblers with Rob, and it's like little slash and Michael.
Yeah. And then there was another time we talked about it on not this last episode, but the episode before that with Sir John Lee, to where I've had people on the show, and after they've been on the show, they go on to do some cool things. And I feel like a dick trying to go back and be like, hey, you want to come back on the show after the fact? Because it's like, oh, man, they doing something now I'm trying to take advantage of some shit like that. I just feel weird about it.
Yeah. It's just funny to me because like even our mutual friend Dan Dankins, he interviewed somebody that I literally watched for the majority of my childhood in DJ Ralph McDaniels. I don't know if you're familiar with that person. He hosted a show called Video Music Box, and it was a New York, kind of like an MTV, but it was in New York. It was on a public access channel, and it would come on every day at 3:30. and it was an hour-long show, and it would air Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, actually. Or it was Friday. Friday was like old school Friday, so it would show like old videos. But, he'll play hip-hop videos, and then he'll pop up. This is DJ Ralph McDaniels, and he'll intro things. He'll interview rappers and stuff like that. And I watched that all through my childhood, and he actually had him on the show. And I freaked out because I called. I would call at that point. I was calling Dan's show pretty regularly, and as like a panelist guest or whatever, we'll sit there and we'll chop it up. And I couldn't call that episode because I had to work, and it was kind of like a blessing and a curse because if I would have been able to call, I would have ruined that entire show. It would have been fucking ruined. I would have just been like, oh my God, oh Ralph, I love you. You're like my dad that I never had. Like, I would have fucking completely ruined that show, bro. I would have been fanboying all over the place. So it's like, I don't see how. I don't think I'd be able to do the whole interview thing, man. It's just I'm not professional at all.
Yeah. And shit, you go back once again to the Michael Jai White episode. I was the same damn way, like a couple of minutes of the episode, and then I kind of snapped out of it, man, because he
pulled it together.
Because he was just like a regular dude, man. He was just like me sitting here talking to you. He was getting ready to go to movies with his wife and shit,
Oh,
so,
shit.
So I'm just like, this is cool.
Can you imagine going to the movies and you grabbing your popcorn and you turn around and fucking Michael Jai White is standing behind you in line? Like, oh shit, what the fuck?
Like, before the interview or whatever, if that would have happened, it would have been like some dumb shit. I would have had to turn around and say I had the popcorn. I bump into this motherfucker, be like, how dare I interrupt your kung fu?
Oh my God, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, but shit, man, it is that time.
Yes, sir.
Man, I appreciate you sitting down and giving me your time and everything and stressing out your computer trying to figure out this video stuff, which I'm going to let you in on a little bit of secret. I told you how, I was having trouble with my camera on the computer and I was just going to do another camera on my side, right?
Right.
The first 20 minutes, I wasn't even recording.
Oh, shit.
So when I put this video together, I mean, fuck it. I mean, we got it. It's over an hour worth of video after that 20 minutes or whatever.
Nice.
I'm just going to put like some stick figures up there of me acting like I'm talking to you and shit. I'm going to do something stupid until the actual video pops up.
That's cool, man. There ain't no problem. We learn as we go, man.
Hell yeah. But before we go, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
All right. Well, as I was saying earlier, I have a podcast called The Everything Podcast. It's a little bit of everything. I like to throw it in there. I'm working on putting out more quality content for you guys. You can find me. You can find the show Instagram at The Everything Podcast on Instagram. On Twitter is the E Podcast Show. And the show's available on all streaming platforms, man. You can Google me. Google The Everything Podcast. I'll pop right up.
Hell yeah. And it ain't that low trash other Everything Podcast.
Low class people.
So, with that being said, you've been a guest of the Random Realms with Rob, and the door is always open for you to come back to promote your next big thing or just to come shoot the shit, man.
I appreciate you, man. I definitely, I'm going to make an appointment for your Wrestling is Trash show. I'm sure we will have a good time talking some shit on there.
Yeah, which I need to edit like right now.
It's going to be a long night.
No, shit, fuck that. I'm going to sleep. I do that shit on the weekend.
Nice. But thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it. I love your show, man. You guys got to get out there and listen to Random Ramblings Rob podcast. Give them those ratings too, man. Those ratings are important. iTunes ratings, man, that shit helps.
Yeah, as we record, as we sit here across from each other, I am sitting at 93 reviews. My goal is to hit 100 by my birthday, which is March 29th. So I don't know when this episode will be up and airing and everything, but still, I'm trying to get to 100, and March 29th is the deadline. Your birthday gift to me, a free one, is a Apple iTunes review or Apple Podcast review.
Look at that. Look at the little things that we ask for. So it's just minuscule things that we ask for. It's a beautiful thing.
So
beautiful thing.
Insignificant.
It's a beautiful thing. It would mean so much to us to do.
And
It's
then
so minuscule.
since we are a video platform right now, I'm gonna give away something.
Oh,
You can't see it because I don't want you to cheat. Try to take it, but what I hold in my hand is a freaking free digital copy of the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So if you
nice.
make that up, you can have it. It's probably look. Yeah, I like how you're throwing the hat up there. Which you can go to
That's
rob.com and get that. I mean, he took advantage of the sale that I had all January long. You motherfuckers after this have to pay full price.
full price, and it's worth it. Every penny.
Yeah, so hopefully it's in focus enough for y'all to see that. If not, I'll put it up again somewhere. But hey, we clear, homie.